And welcome to the first edition of the Twins Weekend Wrap here with Dick Bremer, the television play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Twins. Derek Hansen with you. And Dick, thanks so much for being with us.
Good. I'm looking forward to keeping these chats going, and hopefully we'll have a fun spring and summer and fall of Twins baseball to talk about.
I will say I said television play-by-play voice, but it was fun to hear you on the simulcasts and what have you, and you did a little radio and got to hear you on the airways of KFGO this spring.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing games on radio, whether it's basketball or baseball, and it was a lot of fun this year, and it got me down here out of the miserable weather that was lingering through the upper Midwest. So, yeah, I've been down here in Fort Myers for a long time. We're looking forward to getting back home and getting the season started.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was a lot of speculation with the weather that we had around here in the upper Midwest that, man, how are they going to get this season underway by March 28th? But looks pretty good for Thursday in the forecast, so that's good news for the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it can change a lot, of course, but the last time I looked, we were looking at 50 degrees and about a 20% chance of rain, so it looks like we'll get the opener in. And, you know, it's important, I think, for Twins fans to be aware as to why the Twins are opening the season in March at Target Field, and it's because of the Final Four, which hits the Twin Cities the following week, and pretty much every hotel within a 30-mile radius of downtown Minneapolis is booked because of the Final Four. So that's why we're trying to get these games in the month of March, and then the Twins will get out of town, and the basketball tournament will hit the metro area in downtown Minneapolis, and we'll be on the road in Kansas City, Philadelphia, and New York, and then we'll see what the weather brings in April.
Well, you just never know. And that's one thing. When you look back on last season, and I think Corey brought it up a little bit yesterday on the broadcast on the radio side, you know, that snow out in April last year just seemed to kind of send everything derailed. You know, they had to, cancel 3 or 4 games or postpone them, I should say. It just seemed like that really put everything off kilter.
Well, kind of no pun intended, everything kind of snowballed because of the blizzard. We played a game, I think the first pitch temperature against the White Sox on that Thursday was like 26, 27 degrees, something like that. But we knew we had to play that game because we knew the blizzard was coming, and sure enough, 18 inches of snow fell. And about that time, you know, Byron Buxton suffered a migraine, couldn't make the trip to Puerto Rico. And, yeah, a lot of things went wrong for the Twins last year, and a lot of it seemed to coincide. And it may have been coincidental, but it sure seemed to, you know, that things were getting off to a decent start anyway in the first couple of weeks. And then by the middle of April, one thing after another seemed to go wrong.
Derek Hansen here with Dick Bremer, the play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Twins on the television side, brought to you by Jefferson Lines with the Twins Weekend Wrap, and also looking ahead to the week that is, and including the opening day game on Thursday. And Jose Barrios, he's going to be getting things going here on Thursday, which is good news. And that probably would have been the case last year if the Twins were going right to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and they wanted Jose to pitch one of those games in Puerto Rico. Jake Odorizzi was the opening day starter last year in Baltimore. He actually did a really good job. But I think this will be the first of many opening day assignments for Barrios. I think the way that he pitched in Puerto Rico last year convinced the brass for the Twins that, yeah, he can handle opening day, because that was almost like a World Series atmosphere in Puerto Rico when he pitched against the Indians.
Yeah.
In the middle of April. So I don't think there are any concerns about Barrios and how he'll be able to handle things come Thursday afternoon. His mound opponent will be tough, you know, Corey Kluber of the Indians, but if you want to beat the best, you better be able to, you know, throw your best pitcher up against theirs, and it'll be nice for everybody just to get the season started again.
I guess that is the biggest question right now. They're going up against a team that's won the division the past couple of years, and I guess if you're going to chase anyone in the American League Central, it's most likely going to be Cleveland. I think that's why a lot of people have some optimism for this young Twins team, is the fact that the AL Central seems to be a little bit down.
Well, you know, all that really matters, I guess, is that the Indians, the perception is that they will take at least a step backward this year. You know, going into the spring training, there were concerns about the Indians' outfield. not having Michael Brantley and others out there. And now as spring training has developed, the biggest question is their infield, because Jason Kipnis and Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor, I don't think any of the three of them will be ready for the opener on Thursday at Target Field. Ramirez fouled the ball off his left knee in the ball game yesterday, and it doesn't look likely that he'll be able to recover from that. They did x-rays, no broken bones or anything like that, but I think most people would be surprised if Ramirez would be in the lineup. So you take Kipnis and Lindor and Ramirez out of that Cleveland lineup, and it's a completely different lineup than the one that won the division last year.
I had a conversation over the weekend after Kyle Gibson got touched up a little bit, and I said it's spring training. Don't read into it too much, because these guys are trying to start, just kind of mess with a few things before their opening day start, right?
Yeah, and in fact, this morning I went over to the ballpark and talked some with Jake Odorizzi, and he was saying, because a lot has been made of the fact that he has been held out of the major league games down here in Fort Myers. He's been working on the minor league side on some things. And he says, that's what spring training is for. You're working on different grips, different things. You're trying some different things that might help you down the road. And that's really what spring training is for. There's very little importance placed on the outcome of the games. You don't want to do as, Kyle did, and, some of the other starters have had disappointing outings down here. You don't want that, of course, but if you have that, it's better to get it out of the way now and work on some things to get ready for when the bell rings.
No, that's exactly right. I'm looking forward to seeing how, because he is such a smart baseball guy, right? And if he can just put everything together, he could be a force, because he really gets the game. He's a fun guy to talk to about the sport of baseball.
And he was one of the pioneers in the Twins organization in terms of embracing some of the newer metrics that baseball is ruled by and governed by now. Trying to work on different things in advance of some of the new methods that have been used. You're right. He's a very intellectual guy. Sometimes I think maybe that's been to his detriment, if you will, because he's been analyzing and thinking about things too much. He's got great stuff. He's got a good 2-seam fastball, a good 4-seam fastball, a couple of breaking balls now. And he was, 2018, it might have been disappointing for the Twins as a team, but many are feeling it was kind of a breakthrough season for Kyle on the mound.
Yeah, no question. He's a fun guy to watch, and certainly a good human being, too. I mean, his missionary trip that he did cost him a little bit as far as getting sick with E. coli, I do believe, but it just tells you the type of human being he is, too.
Well, and he felt really bad. He was so sick he was unable to come up for the Diamond Awards. He was going to get the award for the Pitcher of the Year for the Twins, and unable to do that, and he wanted to be involved in Twins Fest the following weekend. But you're right, he was stricken by the E. coli virus and ended up losing 15 pounds. He's just about back to where he wants to be weight-wise. We've all watched Kyle over the years. There's not a whole lot there in terms of body weight to lose without it being noticeable. But he's just about back to where he wants to be, and I suspect he'll be pitching this weekend against the Indians either Saturday or Sunday.
I guess the biggest question now comes to the bullpen, right? I think a lot of people were surprised that Fernando Romero got sent down. Did that surprise you at all with the way things are going for him?
Well, not the way things were going. It didn't surprise me because he had a couple of really disappointing outings, but it is very disappointing because he was considered to be one of the power arms that the Twins were going to, work their bullpen around, and now he's not going to be there at the start of the year. It opens up the question as to, who's going to be getting the save opportunities, hoping that the Twins get a couple of them this weekend against Cleveland. And my guess is, and I don't know this, but my guess is Trevor May might be the guy, just because he's got a little bit more experience than some of the other guys, and he's got a nice mix. And we'll see how that all plays out. But I'd be surprised if Romero doesn't contribute to this Twins bullpen before the year is out.
How do you look at the bullpen right now? It's going to be interesting with the 25 guys that come up. How many guys will be in the bullpen? And it'll be kind of a get to know you with some of the guys that we maybe haven't heard of before, too.
Yeah, I've said during the broadcast down here, it wouldn't surprise me if by season's end there weren't the 4, maybe even 5 different pitchers who got saves by the end of the year. I can see Taylor Rogers being given a save situation. I can see Trevor May. I can see Blake Parker getting some saves. And so we'll have to wait and see how it all fares, or how it all plays out. The one guy who, people haven't talked much about this spring because he's really struggled, frankly, is Addison Reed, a veteran guy who, has closed games before, but he's really, really struggled down here. And I'm not sure whether he might not end up the season on the injured list before we get to Target Field on Thursday.
As far as and we're talking with Dick Bremer here again. We're doing the Twins weekend wrap, and we always look at the week ahead. And the opening day is coming up on Thursday. Dick Bremer, the play-by-play voice on the television side for the Minnesota Twins, brought to you by Jefferson Lines. And this team should be fun to watch offensively. It's too bad Sanoa's out, but when you look at C.J. Cron and Nelson Cruz when he gets going here, and it's been fun to watch Max Kepler at the top of the lineup. I mean, this batting order, I really like it from top to bottom.
Yeah, and so much attention's been paid to the new guys, Nelson Cruz and Jonathan Scope and C.J. Cron, and understandably, because they're all very good hitters, and in the case of Cruz and Cron, power hitters, and Scope had, 27 home runs, I think, 2 years ago. But to me, Derek, the key is going to be Byron Buxton, and I think this lineup will be just fine without Miguel Sano until he gets back. But it's, in my opinion, most teams now have a Miguel Sano type, a guy who potentially can hit 40 home runs, but he's going to strike out 175, 200 times a year. Most teams have somebody like that. When Byron Buxton is going good, there are very few players, very few teams who have a player like the Twins have in a productive Byron Buxton. That's why I think he is the key to the success of this Twins team. He's had an encouraging spring training down here, but he can do things on a baseball field that not many people in the game right now can do. And I think when he's going well, he can be considered one of the top 5 players in the game.
Well, and his men out in the outfield with him, too, are such key parts. I mentioned Kepler before at the top, but, we always kind of forget Eddie Rosario, when he gets going, he's quite the spark plug for this whole team.
Well, he should have been an all-star, in my opinion, last year. He had a really good first half and a little bit less so in the second half. But one thing that has caught the attention of the people who make the decisions in the Twins organization, and I think around baseball, Eddie likes the big stage. He likes, being in New York when he, hit the big home run in the wild card game a couple of years ago. He just seems to relish big moments and looks forward to those in terms of performing. Hit a home run on the first pitch he saw in the big leagues. I mean, that's the type of guy he is. So you look at his season numbers last year, and they were very good. But I think within that, there's the hope that if this Twins team can get into the postseason again, maybe this year, if not this year, next year, that Rosario would be one of the top guys to count on, to help lead this team through a long playoff run.
Final thing for Dick Bremer here on the Twins Weekend Wrap, brought to you by Jefferson Lines, is opening day. I mean, it's special, isn't it? What year are you into this? Because I'm guessing it doesn't get old for you.
It doesn't. This will be my 36th year with the Twins, and you're right. I've rather than my interest, enthusiasm, excitement waning over the years, I honestly believe it increases from year to year. I can't wait to get things started. When you think about it, Derek, and I'll be there for just about every game this year, doing the games on TV. There are going to be so many great moments and so many great catches and walk-off wins and all of that. And it's so exciting to be a part of that as a broadcaster. I can't wait to get things started. And it's nice that it's the Indians coming to town, and maybe they're a little banged up, and maybe the Twins can take advantage of that. But let's just hope this Twins team can get off to a good start. And I'm very much convinced that I think this is going to be a really fun summer for Twins fans.
I can't wait for it. Joel Heitkamp, Jack Michaels, and myself will be down there again broadcasting live. I'll be anxious to see you, since I didn't get to see you down at Fort Myers to get away from this winter, but looking forward to it, and we'll talk to you very soon.
You got it, Derek. We'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Again, that's Dick Bremer here, the television play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Twins, our first edition of the Twins Weekend Wrap. And again, brought to you by Jefferson Lines. Jefferson Lines, your #1 bus experience for over 100 years serving North Dakota and cities throughout the Midwest. More Couch Potato Radio coming up here on the Mighty 790 KFGO.